Alright, should be a quick video. So I have whatever unlisted the last video I did on the dispar thing. Okay, so I misread the number. I thought it was the 2 mass that was 0.9 and it's the 2 velocity. So that was my error. And but it's a reasonable error considering the way he writes and presented the figures. I mean, it was a little bit incoherent. Anyway, so the numbers you got for the masses, I mean, you can just look at them. 45, 6, so that's a difference of 15. Then it's a difference of 25, and then it's a difference of 10, and then it's 10 for the rest of the way down to 8. So there's just no consistency in it. There's no pattern. It just seems obvious there's a mistake somewhere. It seems this first number's way off, but who knows? You know, it's just junk, frankly. It's a junky experiment done with too small a spring, blah, 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 blah. It was already maxed out doing the 3 mass at twice the velocity. The spring was already pretty much completely compressed, so he didn't do anything else at the higher velocity. So we don't have those figures. Now I could argue that if all of this was a little wacky, I could say this was supposed to be 25, this would be 50, this would be 75, and then this would be 100. You know, but you know, it just seems obvious. Look, 2 pounds drop from the same height is going to weigh twice as much. 3 pounds, 3 times as much. 4 pounds, 4 times as much. You want to believe otherwise? Go ahead. I can't stop you. And you know, the whole argument with velocity seemed to me that in the past the argument was we agreed on masses and now we disagree on velocities, because the kinetic energy theory and my theory say exactly the opposite thing about what these numbers should be. And by his numbers, okay, you can go, oh yeah, it's twice as much. Now they believe that twice the spring compression is 4 times the energy. So they actually believe that if you had a scale and you put 1 rock on it, okay, and it weighed a certain amount, you have 1 unit of energy. And then if you do exactly the same thing, so if I could make this a money game, you know, where you get the payoff, you know, for what you're, you know, putting the rock on, you get whatever the energy level is of the spring. You know, you could make quite a racket out of it, because if you just do the same exact action, put another rock on there, now they say you have 4 times the energy in the spring because you compressed it twice as much. They say twice the weight is 4 times the potential to do work. And obviously, I think that's absolute crap. The second rock didn't have any more capacity to do work. It's not collecting any more gravitational energy. It's just nonsense. I guess I could also make the argument from Hooke's law, which basically also says that, you know, if you put 2 springs in parallel, their total compression will be the same as the total compression for 1 spring. So 1 spring will compress twice as much as 2 springs, applying the same weight on them. And so you could just sort of argue that it's just kind of, you know, impossible for this to come out the way it did, 45-6. You know, recognizing that, well, isn't the 6 just 2 of these experiments? And so they really have to come out to be the same as putting the 2 mass on this spring. It's got to be the same as 1 mass on 2 individual springs. Got to be working out to the same mass, right? If I have a dumbbell here, the 2 masses are tied to each other. So there's a 1 mass and a 1 mass, and I put it on the springs compress 1/2 and 1/2. And just because I, you know, now put the dumbbell on the 1 spring, I'm going to get twice the compression, but it's twice the weight. So to me, those are arguments that make this conversation a non-starter. So if he wants to say he's going to beat Hooke's law, he's also saying the law of the lever's a liar. You know, because he did this brilliant experiment, and obviously the margin of error is gigantic in the experiment. So just look at the video if you want to. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but And look at how much the stuff bounces off the spring. It's got to be at least a 20% loss of energy. You know, so it's not a very good spring, obviously. You know, it's a crappy little spring, and he's making little fine millimeter measurements on a crappy spring with a crappy ruler, you know, filmed in Crapavision. And this is supposed to be proof of something, and in my opinion it's just proof of what's wrong with the world. Is there's just a bunch of you know, cheaters you know, who wish to defend nonsense. So it's just like flat earth, or some religious kook who, you know, starts gluing fossils together, or some other bullshit. You know, he wants this to be true, and you know, he's going to keep doing experiments in every shitty manner possible to make it true. I mean, in the video you can see he's pushing some piece of metal against the spring, so he can't, you know, he doesn't attach anything properly. You know, it's just bullshit. So anyway, so enough of a statement. I shouldn't have critiqued the video, because I'm really not willing to watch one of his videos that's more than, you know, 5 minutes long. Because he's just a pathetic, stinking pile of shit. And so it was 23 minutes. I wasn't going to watch it. I just wanted to know what the results were, and I tried to go to the results page, and it was bouncing all over the fucking goddamn place, and I got the wrong number. And I just shouldn't have bothered, because it was a shit experiment done shittily. And he's claiming it's, again, one of his proofs. Well, we'll see. Okay, time will tell, asshole. Time will tell.